After a delicious breakfast consisting of fresh malasadas, we headed off across the Farrington Highway to hike Kaena Point. This is the westernmost point of Oahu, and it also goes by another name which I'm going to do my best to pronounce. And its other name that it goes by is Leina Kahuhane, which means leaping place of souls. The Hawaiians believe that this is where the souls of the recently dead come to be reunited with their ancestors. In addition to being a place of great cultural significance and legend, Kaena Point is also a protected bird sanctuary. Here you will find the home of the Laysan Albatrosses, which is a massive bird. These guys can have a wingspan of up to 80 inches, and don't worry, we'll see them in a little bit. In addition to them, if you're lucky, you might also run into the Hawaiian monk seal. Please be sure to respect the wildlife if you see them though, and don't harass either of them. You do have a couple of options on this hike. You can either stay on the dirt road, which is a little bit flatter, but not anywhere near as scenic. If you stay on the dirt road, you'll also have to watch out for vehicle traffic. Even though it does require a permit, we did encounter more than a few vehicles along the hike. The other option is that you can hike along the coastline. This is a little bit more technical, but the views are amazing. We were visiting with V's parents, so we were playing it safe and staying up on the dirt road, but even they couldn't help but be tempted by the ocean views, so soon we were heading off towards the coastal trail. One of the cool things about this hike is that you can actually start it in two different places. In this video, we are hiking it from the northern shore at the end of the Farrington Highway, and there's also another trailhead on the west side over near Waianae. We did that trail last time, and unfortunately that was back before we were making YouTube videos, but we did take a lot of pictures and you can still read about it on our website, 𝐿𝐻𝐿ife.com. Both trails end up in the preserve, but the main difference is that this particular hike that you see here has some beach access points, whereas the other side is up on sea cliffs. The views are really nice on that side, but if you want to be able to get into the water, this is the route that you should take. The coast here is lined with all sorts of beauty, everything from tide pools to beautiful little private beaches. You really could spend all day exploring this area alone, but I promise you that it is worth it to get all the way out to the preserve. Not only were the views beautiful down on the water's edge, but it also helped keep the temperature down quite a bit. We were visiting on a pretty hot and humid day, and the sun really radiated off of the dirt road. This was the easiest hike that we had done on this entire trip up to this point, but I'm not gonna lie, the humidity made it a little bit on the miserable side. This also means that you're going to need to bring quite a bit more water than you think you'll need. I think that sometimes when people are on vacation, they don't take things like dehydration into consideration. We've seen people out on hikes like these with just one can of Hawaiian sun juice or something like that, and don't get me wrong, it's delicious. But a heat stroke is definitely not a souvenir that you want to bring home from the Hawaiian Islands. V's parents were troopers, and they stuck with us for a little bit over a mile, but eventually the relentless sun and humidity was just a little bit too much for them, so they decided to head back to the car. Even though the thought of getting back to the air-conditioned car and getting shave ice even sooner sounded mighty tempting, the three of us were stubborn and we wanted to make it all the way out to the point. It's kind of funny because even though they have a fancy gated bird sanctuary, our first albatross sighting was quite a ways before the gate. Evidently these guys are rebels and they don't like to play by the rules. As we crested this hill, we could faintly see the preserve off in the distance, and we knew that we were almost there. Shortly before you reach the preserve though, keep your eyes out on the right side of the trail. We were just randomly looking out at the ocean when we noticed this rock that looks like a heart. It's kind of a cool little photo op. After squeezing through this narrow gap, you have officially made it to the gate at the entrance to the preserve. This is one of the last dune ecosystems on the main Hawaiian Islands. This preserve was created in 1983, and it's estimated that 400 albatross come here during the nesting season. If your four-legged friend is joining you on your hike, they are not allowed inside the preserve, so keep that in mind. Once inside the gate, you'll be treated to even more beautiful coastline. I don't believe that there's any way for you to get down to the water until you reach the very end of the preserve, but it's still really pretty to look at. The albatross were all just kind of standing around hanging out on this visit, and that was cool to see. But on our last visit, they were diving and swooping through the sand dunes. It's really impressive how agile these giant birds can really be. We had definitely worked up a good sweat, and the refreshing waters were calling us. Even though we were only about 2.7 miles into the hike, the heat made it feel like we had gone a lot further. Once you reach the end, you'll have this structure where you can grab a tiny little bit of shade, or you can head straight down to the water, which we decided to do. The water is pristine here, and it's going to take all of our work to keep it this way. If you decide to visit, please be sure to clean up after yourself and wear reef-safe sunscreen. The crazy thing is that when we visited, we had this entire place to ourselves, and it was definitely the perfect slice of paradise. Well, actually, we thought we had the place to ourselves because suddenly we heard a sneeze. And we noticed that some of what we thought were rocks were actually monk seals. They were so still that we hardly even noticed that they were there. If you encounter them, please be sure to give them plenty of space. I was so glad that we had our Sony camera with us so we could get some tighter shots of them. And with that, it was time to start heading back across that hot sand. We weren't going to be leaving empty-handed though, because as we made our way back towards the car, some of the albatross put on a little bit of an aerial show for us. This included a couple of pretty close flybys. A couple fun facts about these albatross is that they have a very impressive lifespan. Some of them can live up to 60 years. And they've also adapted to have the ability to drink salt water. That doesn't sound too tasty, but if you live all the way out here, you are next to a pretty good sized source of water. We are now back through the gate and we are 2.2 miles away from the trailhead. After spotting this little creepy crawler, we decided that we would just stay on the main road on the way back. Even though we would be missing out on the scenery, this is the faster and easier way to go. I would definitely be lying if I said we didn't wish we had a couple of bikes at this point. We did encounter a couple more cars on the way back, and I guess that is the positive side to hiking the other trail. It's too narrow to drive on, and I guess that's evident because for some reason there were several cars at the bottom of the sea cliffs last time we visited. This hike is gorgeous, but I don't know if I would classify it as thrilling. If you're looking for something to get your adrenaline pumping a little bit more, click in the upper corner right now to watch our video about 3 peaks. I can't begin to tell you how relieved we were when we saw the gate to the trailhead. You can see just how hot things got out there when you look at the back of V's shirt. Of course, if you're on the North Shore and you are super hot, you know there is only one true way to cool down. And that, of course, is with a big old bowl of shave ice. And that is going to do it for this video. What is your favorite hike in Oahu? Let us know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to absolutely obliterate that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming adventures. For all the information about this hike as well as other awesome Hawaii adventures, head on over to thatadventurelife.com.